Calling this meeting of the Cleveland Heights City Council on December 15th to order. Roll call, please.
Maddox.
Hold on.
Here.
I know there are a lot of people in the audience this evening, but we have a lot of work to do this evening, as well as a lot of public comments. So out of respect for everyone in the room and in the hallway, I would ask that you allow us to continue so that we can hear everybody that wishes to contribute to the meeting and the council can get our work done. Thank you. Go ahead, Eddie.
Maddox.
Here.
Russell. Here. Larson.
Here.
Cobb.
Here.
Posh.
Here.
Sheets. Here. Petrus.
Here.
Councilor Petrus is joining us from Zoom, and the charter amendments are in effect now, so he will be able to vote on tonight's legislation. All right, we're going to go on to, there are no absent members. Amendments to the agenda, we don't have any to the agenda except for one for.
Not to the agenda.
Yes, Madam President.
Okay. We don't have any minutes to approve from previous meetings. Cleveland Heights University Heights Student Report. Somebody from Cleveland Heights High? Okay.
Madam President,
Councilor Maddox.
if I may, they're actually doing exams this week, so I just wanted to wish them well since we're talking about them anyway. This is the end of the holiday of the semester, so they're dealing with all of that good stuff. So just wishing all those students well this week. They're working hard.
Thank you. Communications from the mayor.
All right, thank you, Madam President. Since this is likely the last meeting of the year, I did want to kind of give a few wrap-up remarks and make sure that you all got invitations to the staff holiday party on Friday. You know, we'd love to have you there. So when I found out I had this job to be mayor for the 3 months to finish out the year, I did a lot of thinking about what I wanted to accomplish in the 3 months, and I wrote down 4 things. One was kind of brings calm and stability back to City Hall and to the city, get a budget done, help the new mayor transition into the job, and try to tie up as many loose ends as I could so that, that I was handing something off to the new mayor that was manageable. And, on the first day I came in, I hired Sharon Dumas, who was here, the city administrator, and I have to tell you, just everything fell into place pretty much after that. I mean, she was really the key. Besides her masterful handling of all of her duties, I have to just tell you, just in the office, I've just enjoyed every minute I have spent with her. Josie Moore was another hire as my special assistant. Then I rehired Jessica Shantz as community communications director, Bill Hanna as law director. He was only gone for a day. And Andy Unetic as a budget consultant. And I certainly don't want to forget getting Todd Walburn back as Mayor's Action Center was a big help. We were able to complete the Park Synagogue development deal within 48 hours after I was sworn in. We reopened the Cleveland Heights University Heights swimming pool to the public with expanded hours coming in 2026. We did submit a comprehensive budget within 30 days. Expanded leaf pickup from 2 rounds to 3 rounds, hired a company to deep clean City Hall, and finished remodeling the mayor's office. It was really left completely half done. It was not good. I think we successfully have been, I'll leave this up to the incoming mayor, but I think we've executed a pretty comprehensive transition plan. We put together listings and interviews for city administrator, finance director, HR director. We hired Pradco to do a comprehensive review of the work climate in City Hall, and or just for city employees in general. And we have made progress resolving some issues with Thunderbolt. I see Jose is here. We put together, I think, the framework of some progress we can make to help Jose and his employees be successful there. And if the budget passes, tonight, and I hope it will. We have funded significant improvements to that Fairmount Taylor intersection, which will be done next year. I would have never thought that I would have had to have gotten off of council to have such a good time, but I really did have a great, I know it's a weird thing to say, but I really, the last 3 months have just been wonderful. And I especially want to thank council. You guys worked very well together, collaboratively, got a lot done. Really appreciate you. And that ends my report. Thank you.
City Administrator's report. ¿Dónde está? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, my report will be brief for today. Okay. In the Division of Police, Chief Britton is currently completing year-end performance evaluations and some required year-end reporting. Chief Harry has given the state of the fire department update to all 3 of his shifts. And in communications, Jessica Chance has a video production team that is scripting 3 how-to videos by the end of the year, covering the MAC, city snow plowing procedures, and paying fines at City Hall. The Public Works calendar is completed and currently at the printer, so it should be returned to us shortly. And all staff members have met with their designated PIOs, these public information officers, for Jessica's outreach. And they're being trained on using monday.com to send media and graphic design requests to communications. And finally, as we discussed earlier, you're going to have in first quarter 2026, the approval of a zoning code study for Director Zamp. And as I indicated, he was bidding it at the time that we were closing the books for 2025. He's using a decert of an encumbrance from 2024. So it is not new money, it's a swap. And so it will be approved in the first quarter. And I promised him that I would mention it publicly so that no one would question that he's having some other issue other than swapping money. Other than that, Mayor, anything else? Okay, other than that, that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Your last one. Thank you. Department reports? No? Okay. Report of the Clerk of Council?
I just want to wish everyone happy holidays.
Same to you, Addie. Thank you so much. We're going to start public comment. If anybody's here entering any complaints about your property, Addie will immediately send those to Access Cleveland Heights to ensure that the appropriate department is assigned to the complaint. Addie has informed me we have over 30 people that wish to speak this evening, so your time will be reduced to 2 minutes. I would ask if you have a group that's here for a specific purpose, if you'll pick 2 or 3 or 4 spokespeople so that we could move through the meeting to the work the council needs to do. And then I understand there's a reception. I'd like to ask that that be something we celebrate after the meeting is all over. So as we move along, if you can help us do that, I would very much appreciate it.
Madam President, I have separated out the names of people who wanted to say farewell to our outgoing council members. If you would like, I could read everyone's name. You guys could all come up, pick a couple representatives, just so that we get through this quicker, if that's okay with everyone.
Is that okay? I'm seeing some head nods.
Well, first we have agenda items. So Michael Morse.
Some of you have heard me say this earlier, but
Mike, excuse me, please state your name and your street.
this is Michael Morse. I live on Crest Road near the school and own property on Severn. I'm here speaking about the severance rezoning. In particular, there's an area designated now as a conservation area, and I'm glad to see that our shift in thinking has gone towards treating that as a conservation area rather than simply an obstacle to development. I think the potential for improving our community, improving our environment is very high if we recognize areas such as this as an asset for the health and benefit of our community and our children and their children. I won't take too much time on this because I know it's limited, but basically I'm talking about the area stretching from South Taylor to Milliken School and then north from Milliken School up to Mayfield, an area that is a woodlands and headwaters of a major branch of the Dugway Brook. This is an area worth preserving and protecting today and deserves our thought for future enhancements as an asset to our community. So I will yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Lee Chilcote.
Lee Chilcote, 2322 Delamere Drive. I made my remarks at the public hearing. I won't repeat those here. I would like to suggest to council that I've looked at the zoning code and the changes to Title 11 very carefully, and I've listened carefully to the staff. I'm aware that outside counsel has reviewed the legislation, and I strongly encourage you not to go as third step and hire a consultant to bring them aboard on this legislation. It is vital to this community that we put this in place. When we put this legislation in place, what we're doing is we're setting a very basic framework. There are steps ahead, such as TIF districts, new community authority, site development approval, all of which lay ahead and will then fill out the vision that is being, the framework that is being set here with a true vision of the Cleveland Heights. I think you'll be best served by supporting your staff, supporting those outsiders who have helped the staff, and moving forward with this legislation early January. So that's my recommendation.
Thank you, Lee.
Tiffany Massing.
Hi, Tiffany Massing on Delamere Drive. I'm here to comment on the legislation that you're considering tonight about the Shaker Lakes. Council members, as legislators and fiduciaries, you have independent legal duties that cannot be delegated to a regional utility or satisfied by staff recommendation alone. The agreements before you acknowledge permanent and indefinite maintenance obligations, including a permanent environmental covenant binding NEO RSD. At the same time, the record states that maintenance costs are unknown, staffing impacts are uncertain, and long-term operational decisions will be made later. Approving an agreement under these conditions raises questions of fiscal responsibility and informed consent. Additionally, Horseshoe Park is part of a federally recognized historic landscape. Federal law requires that historic context materially affect decision-making, that alternatives be meaningfully evaluated, and that outcomes not be assumed in advance. Prior resolutions concurring with dam removal do not relieve council of its obligation to ensure current compliance with federal historic preservation requirements. Finally, emergency legislation is justified legally only when immediate action is necessary to preserve public peace, health, or safety. The record shows construction is planned for 2026 into 2027, not imminently. Council should carefully consider whether emergency passage is legally appropriate or whether it undermines the deliberative process required for decisions of this permanence. Your duty is not simply to authorize construction, but to ensure that long-term obligations, historic protections, and public trust responsibilities are fully satisfied before irreversible change occurs. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Larry Nowak.
Good evening. My name's Larry Nowak, and I live on Edge Hill. I want to just address a couple of factual questions that came up earlier this evening. Number one, it was said that we have had no one approach Cleveland Heights or anybody else with respect to severance other than Impact. I, specifically, the members of SAG, and the Director of Planning and Development for Cleveland Heights have all sat with 2 developers in the last 4 years who were interested in doing something here. This is not a mission impossible if Impact steps out. I don't believe they will. I don't think we need them to. Second thing I want to talk about is it has been said that getting another opinion, an outside consultant, is an insult to the staff. I flew fighters for the Marine Corps for 20 years. When I walked out to the airplane, I was handed a document that said, by the maintenance people, this airplane is ready to fly. I was also handed another document from Quality Assurance that said, they are right. Okay? And if either one of them, by the way, was wrong, I was dead, but that was a separate issue. I would like to say that I think Eric Zanft is a terrific Director of Planning and Development. I have great confidence in Eric. I just think this is a decision of such magnitude for the impact, long-term impact on this city, that to not retain someone who is an acknowledged national expert on this to assess whether or not the specific zoning proposal before us is the best one for the city of Cleveland Heights is a rational and frankly very appropriate thing to do. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Melody Joy Hart.
Melody Joy Hart, Monmouth Road. I'm going to make this brief. I agree with the things that Lee Chilko said, so I won't repeat them. I do feel that this is the time to move forward. No one has come forward and said, we're going to put a whole bunch of money here. We have a chance here to actually do something with severance. And if this fails because we didn't get it done in time to meet the deadlines, then it could be that this council's legacy will be that of failure to develop severance. And that would not be the legacy you want. So I encourage you to move forward with this. It is a good plan. Planning Commission has recommended it. They'd had experts look at it. Move forward with that. I think it's the right thing to do.
Thank you, Melody.
Chris Brace.
Good evening, folks. Long time no see. I think I was here just an hour ago. My name is Chris Brace, for those who don't know me, Cedar Fairmount. This is not going to stay near my mouth, so there we go. I'll speak briefly because there are many people here tonight and council's time is obviously short and limited in this regard. But I want to say that I very strongly support the form-based rezoning that this city has gone through, such an extended and thoughtful process building. This process started well over a year ago. I think over 3 or 4 months ago, this originally came before the Transportation and Mobility Committee for feedback. I had a list of feedback, I think that's a rude gesture, the length of my arm, let's say, and we've, moved, and the developer has moved heaven and earth to improve and respond to community feedback. I'm tremendously in favor of this. I think that it is a fundamentally necessary step for the redevelopment of Severance, and I am really excited to see what comes next. I think this is a bright hope for our city. Thank you.
David Shima Takahara.
Good evening. I'm David Shimo Takahara, resident of Crest Road. Thanks for hearing my comments. The vote to adopt the zoning overlay proposal by Ryan Potter and Impact should be postponed until the significant issues and questions it raises have received proper consideration. The proposed overlay does not represent a comprehensive vision for redevelopment. Instead, it establishes a largely car-centric framework that overlooks many of the priorities Cleveland Heights residents have consistently identified, both what they want and what they wish to avoid. For example, the overlay proposes the construction of approximately 2,500 new residential units as a key strategy for achieving revenue goals. Given current market conditions and competitive realities, I believe this level of growth is unrealistic for Cleveland Heights. Even if it were feasible, it would introduce a level of density that could be disruptive to surrounding neighborhoods. In addition, the number and placement of streets and boulevards intended to support this density effectively eliminate the possibility of creating a meaningful public commons or green space. Such a space could serve as a unifying center for retail and residential development rather than limit it. While assurances have been given that the overlay does not dictate future development decisions and that all elements remain negotiable, this overlooks the institutional inertia that typically follows the adoption of new zoning regulations. Form-based zoning can be a valuable tool, but only when it follows agreement on a clearly articulated planning vision. In the absence of such a vision, the overlay risks creating expectations that developers will exploit to maximize private profit at the expense of public benefit.
David, thank you very much. I appreciate your time is up.
Thank you.
But I just want to let you know that we are not voting on those two pieces of legislation this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Jose Quiles.
Oh, don't get old. I don't really have a format for speech tonight, actually. I am here in support of NAPA, for the record. Hands down, it's incredibly important. That part of the city, you guys have heard all the stories. You guys know the stories personally in a lot of cases. DaVita, it is such an essential piece, or can be such an essential piece of our identity going forward. There are a lot of concerns about how the legislation is shackling NAVA, and I think that those have some teeth, frankly, regarding conflict of interest, use of money, bidding process, things like that. I would urge some of that restraint to be relaxed to allow the people that are living and working and operating in Noble to best use that money as we see fit, because we're the ones that are affected by that. Really, really awesome piece of opportunity. I also want to wish, in particular, Councilman Maddox and Russell the best in your future endeavors. Anthony, I've watched some of the things that you've written with a smile, and so I'm curious and somewhat excited to see where you guys go from here. I want to give a very special thank you to Tony and to the law director. Wow, I've went through the 5 stages of grief more than once up here, and to feel like there is progress is its own progress. Tony, thank you. Bottom of my heart, thank you. So to Jim, good luck. You have my number, we'll talk, but I wish you the best and in all that you do, and I look forward to seeing your impact as well from that side of the desk. So I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful holiday season and nothing but love.
Thank you, Jose.
And I apologize, Madam President, I went a little bit out of order. So now we're moving on to non-legislative agenda items. Suzanne Zilber.
Hello, I'm Suzanne Zilber. I live on Edge Hill Road, and I'm here representing Cleveland Heights for Immigrants' Rights and showing up for Racial Justice Northeast Ohio. There are 7 SURGE members here tonight, as well as an additional 4 Cleveland Heights for Immigrants' Rights members. I'm reading this statement on behalf of Suzanne DiGaetano, co-owner of Max Back's book on Coventry. She had another engagement. She is one of 85 business owners that have signed our pledge to protect the rights of our immigrant community members here in Cleveland Heights. She says, my grandparents were all immigrants to this country from Italy and Sicily. My dad's parents moved to Cleveland Heights in the 1940s to a house that used to stand where Abundance Culinary is now. My parents bought that house, and it's where I grew up. Small business is in our family DNA. My grandfather came here when he was 16 and started a produce business from a downtown fruit cart, and it grew until it became one of the main wholesalers at the Northeast Ohio Food Terminal. My dad eventually took over management, and our family used to visit the warehouse. I remember my grandfather trimming lettuce heads in a small production line, and now imagine what would have happened if ICE had been around and invaded the operation. My grandparents became naturalized because the laws were different then, but they were from a part of the world that were the shithole countries of the era, as the current administration would term them. In 1924, the Johnson-Reed Act imposed restrictive quotas on Eastern and Southern Europeans and eliminated Asian immigration. I sometimes imagine what our country would look like without the contributions of immigrants, and of course, there would be nothing here. In the book, The Truth About Immigration, Why Successful Societies Welcome Newcomers, author Zeke Hernandez uses deep research and evidence to prove how immigrants are neither villains or victims, but are vital to productive societies. These facts bolster what we know from lived experience. The xenophobic policies of the federal administration are destabilizing neighborhoods and communities like Cleveland Heights. Therefore, I'm grateful for the work that Cleveland Heights is doing for immigrants, and please pass the proposal.
Bruce Delaney.
Suzanne.
So Bruce Delaney, I live on Lincoln, and I'm going to cede my time to Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura Delaney. I live on Lincoln Boulevard, and I'm here speaking as the president of the Taylor Merchants Association. In July 2025, I received an invitation to a planning and zoning meeting from Davida Russell. And at that meeting, I discovered that there are funds that have been allocated to Taylor Road in 2021 that had not yet been put to use. So I raised my hand and I started working with others, and Myra and Nikki Creel and Dawn Quintana, to develop the Cedar Taylor Merchants Association. We assembled a plan to improve our district through the addition of public art, bicycle racks, landscaping, and a marketing campaign to draw more customers to the area. We reached out to the Orthodox community and other business owners to create synergy and to collaborate. Our plan has been submitted and approved by 3 council persons at the Planning and Development meeting, with a recommendation to pass upon a first reading as an emergency measure. And yet it has not made it to the agenda for a council meeting. We were told to expect it on December 1st, and again for this evening, but it is still not here. Our plans are straightforward and have worked in many places to improve economic conditions for small businesses, but it seems the process has been delayed again and again. We've been informed that it will not appear on the agenda until the NABA grant agreement is signed. Since NABA and Taylor are 2 separate nonprofits, I'm unclear as to why these 2 are being viewed as one. Times are hard, and small businesses feel the crunch. These funds have been waiting for years. Don't put any more delays in our path. Do the right thing. Give us a clean, straightforward contract as you would for any other organization asking for a grant from the city. We will use the funds well, just as our proposal shows. Together, we can make our city more prosperous and connected. NABA's been working on a parallel project, and Cuyahoga County gave them funds of $10,000. This December, they gave us $20,000. And it is a show of good faith and collaboration. It is my privilege to be able to tell you and to tell the folks at Noble Road that we are giving them $5,000 from our budget to help them pursue their dreams as the Noble Business Association.
Thank you, Laura.
Seth Task.
Council President Larson, members of council, Thanks for the opportunity to speak this evening. First, I'd like to, I know how difficult public service is, and I'd like to thank all of you for sticking your head out there for what you do.
State your name on your street.
My name is Seth Task. I'm here on behalf of the merchants and stakeholders working to establish merchant associations in the Noble and Taylor corridors. As you know, funding for these districts was appropriated years ago, yet the dollars still have not reached the business districts and by association, the residents they were intended to support. These neighborhoods have endured decades of disinvestment. They were thriving neighborhoods when my father grew up here, yet somehow they have not had the same attention, urgency, and partnership that other commercial districts in Cleveland Heights have long benefited from. I fully support fiscal responsibility and transparency, and we appreciate that public money must be handled carefully. But the draft agreement presented by the city includes thresholds, approval requirements, and oversight mechanisms that are far more restrictive than what is typically expected from a small, locally driven merchant association. The city has granted funds on several occasions to like-kind nonprofit associations and organizations without this type of oversight. If the agreement is so burdensome that merchants cannot function, then funds may be allocated on paper but will never actually be deployed. And that would unintentionally extend the inequities these neighborhoods have faced for far too long. I want to also express my appreciation for Council's trust in Future Heights and Rebuild Cleveland through your authorization of the 45-lot infill housing initiative in the Taylor and Noble adjacent neighborhoods. This is a major step forward towards rejuvenating these neighborhoods. It represents tens of millions of dollars in private investment that we are ready to bring to this community. And I want to be very clear. If we are going to invest at that level in rebuilding the housing market of Cleveland Heights, then we expect respectfully that the city will also invest in these neighborhoods and will do so in a way that enables progress rather than delays it. We are asking for a partnership grounded in trust, trust in the merchants who have stepped up, trust in the volunteers doing the work, trust in the reasonable oversight that can coexist with real timely progress.
Thank you, thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
Michelle Colby.
Hello, I'm Michelle Colby. I live on Exeter Road. I own a business, Eva Domus, on South Taylor. And I'm in here, I'm not going to speak nearly as long as everyone else has, but I was just here with the understanding that we would be on the agenda to discuss the Taylor Merchants District. And I was disappointed that we were removed from the agenda. That's it. Thanks.
Monse Yarborough. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Good evening, my name is Muncie Yarbrough, 3982 Delmore Road, and I'm here today because I would like to speak on behalf of the Taylor District. I am the co-founder or creator of the Cleveland Heights Community Market. The Cleveland Heights Community Market that's on 2206 South Taylor at the corner of South Taylor and Cedarbrook. It ran from Memorial Day till the end of September. Every Sunday, 15 to 20 local vendors. Each week we saw an eclectic mix of goods, friendly neighbors, fresh and affordable produce, and delicious local foods and music. With the help of Quintana's, we created a space for the neighborhood that was walkable and a destination for a Sunday morning. People walking their dogs, kids on bikes, and families enjoying music after getting coffee from Rising Star. The feedback that we got from the community that this was so well received and so embraced and something that we needed in this space. We had the mom that was starting her cookie business and selling cookies, and the lady selling lemonade that was also starting her business after COVID, and the family, the people that were retired selling their plants. So this was definitely, as my daughter calls it, a summer vibe, a Sunday vibe in the Heights. And it was extremely well received. And the feedback that we got from the community was that we needed more of this. They want stuff. We want stuff in our space here. We want something we can call our own. We want a space where we can be proud of walking around and shopping. We need bike racks. We need overall beautification in the district. So I was very disappointed to hear that this was taken off the agenda tonight. And when we have the ability to do this, when this seems like it should be an easy fix at this point. So let's be part of the solution and not part of the problem, and let's just make this happen. Thank you.
I would like to clarify, it wasn't taken off the agenda this evening. It is they're working in the law department on the NABA agreement, which is supposed to mirror the Taylor agreement to some extent. So please bear with us. It's not something that's been dropped. It will continue in January. All right?
Thank you.
I can't make you any promises about the specific date.
Thank you.
Dawn and Alicio Quintana.
Good evening. I'm Dawn Mangaluti Quintana.
I'm Eliseo Quintana,
We reside at 2969 Euclid Heights Boulevard.
and we are owners of the 2206 place to 2200 South Taylor too.
So we have Quintana's Barbershop, Dream Spa, the Speakeasy.
Oh, she wrote that down.
We also have the market with Muncie. And we started our business in 2001 at Cedar Fairmount. We've been in the Taylor district since 2003. This January will be 25 years in Cleveland Heights. We first started the original Cedar Taylor Merchant District in 2013 with a handful of business owners who are here, Calvin Singleton, Hank Kornblut. We are currently and actively engaging everyone in our district. We are happy to have the Orthodox community and other businesses to join the Taylor collaboration. We've been diligently working and our plans are straightforward. We were informed that we will not appear on the agenda until the Noble Business Association agreement is signed, like Ms. Larson said. This is so confusing as Noble and Taylor are two separate business districts. They're two separate nonprofits. We understand that they're being viewed as one. We want to make our family business stronger, the Taylor Business District and the Heights community better. It's a simple goal to move forward. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm having a little bit of trouble reading this next one. Han Norbilt? Han? Nope. Okay. Jacqueline Remmer?
Hello, I'm Jacqueline Rimmer, 3801 Monticello. My business is at 2579 Noble. Real quick, Taylor. Thank you. When I first met my husband over 20 years ago, and he told me about the place he grew up, one of the first things he wanted to show me when he brought me to Cleveland Heights were the lights in Nela Park. And it's something I and thousands of others have looked forward to for many years. And it saddened me when relatives came into town in late November, early December, and we slowly realized that the light display as we knew it was never going to materialize. And you've heard me say on more than one occasion that Noble is a major gateway into Cleveland Heights. People come from all over the county to our little section of Cleveland Heights, and if only for a moment, there's a little glimpse of hope on Noble, what some might even call light in a dark place. You know, my favorite colors in life are fireworks and Christmas lights. And to drive up the street and basically see nothing during this time of year is like the real life when the Grinch stole Christmas. And while I know that Nela Park is technically East Cleveland, it is very much so a part of the Cleveland Heights community. We have a major opportunity to do something amazing if we choose to. This council has committed to assisting with the formation of the Noble Area Business Association and revitalizing the Noble area. And we have faced some challenges in the process, but we are so close. And if we can all just focus on the bigger picture. And if you remember, whenever I come to speak about NABA, I remind you all that it's bigger than Noble, it's about the city. And we can show everyone that while Nela Park might have turned off the lights, Cleveland Heights can turn them back on. So this is my public challenge to incoming Mayor Petrus, the incoming and current city council members, the residents of Noble, and the entire Cleveland Heights community to work together with NABA, to work with the city of East Cleveland, surrounding organizations, communities, and whoever is willing to put forth the effort and resources to light up Noble in December of 2026.
Thank you, Jackie.
Nader Showman. Nader Showman. Nader. Nope. Marcus Carter. Or Marius. I'm sorry, it's like a little hard to read. No. Jason Davis.
Jason Davis, 2313 Lee Road. Thank you, members of council, for your continued service to the community that we all cherish. I'd like to speak briefly in support of the establishment of an immigration defense fund. I believe this fund is justifiable not just morally, but financially. We are a nation of immigrants. Few among us claim the status for the first people, and the story of our nation is one of strength through diversity. In that tradition, Cleveland Heights has adopted the motto, "We are all welcome." I know the value that immigration brings to our country and community firsthand. My wife is a former citizen of China, and without a doubt, the hardest working person I've ever met in my life. We moved our racially mixed family here and have felt a sense of normalcy and belonging to be part of the diverse melting pot of Cleveland Heights. My wife and I worked together to start Ollie's Gift and Ship, where we've contributed to the community by revitalizing a historic building and adding vibrancy and community-oriented services through our business. We also contribute to the tax base. Through property tax and local income tax, immigrants directly contribute to local coffers and are entitled to services that benefit and protect them. I'm certain that a commitment to protecting our neighbors will pay off over the course of a life of hard work. But direct return on investment is not the point. I wanted to close by discussing the unfortunate fear that retribution from the federal government. This is a sad and unfortunate possibility, but we have morals and integrity. We know that the right thing to do is often not the easy thing to do. It is up to us to be strong in the face of adversity and to do the right thing. And to be clear, defending our neighbors from unjust treatment and providing them with a fair trial guaranteed to them under the Constitution is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Susan Berger. Susan Berger. Says Susan. Okay.
For once, I'm going to let my husband speak first. Bob, can you come in? We need Sharon. I think we're both on, so we're going to share them.
We signed up separately, so.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, so I'm here to speak in praise of Sharon Dumas. I worked for the city of Cleveland for 30 years, and for about half that time, worked with Sharon. And when we realized that with the new administration coming in, the interim mayor, there was a need for a temporary city administrator, we both thought Sharon Dumas. And we helped to make the connection to Tony. Now, I have to say, during the time I worked with Sharon in Cleveland City Hall, she couldn't hold a job because she started out, if I have this right, as Assistant Director of Community Development, then became the Director, then became the Finance Director, and then the Chief of Staff. So 4 different jobs. And the reason she couldn't hold a job is she was so good at all of them that when something else opened up, they said, Sharon, let's bring her into this. So when we realized that there was a need for a temporary city administrator here in Cleveland Heights until the new administration was in office, we helped to make the connection of Sharon to Tony Kuda, and it paid off. She's done a wonderful job here, and we are grateful to her for coming out of retirement. I know she never expected to be working full-time again. I can relate to that since I had retired a while ago. So I'm just here to say thank you, Sharon, and thank you on behalf of all the citizens here. Thank you.
And we also want to thank our friend Tony. Bob, you've got to help.
I know to come when I'm called.
So we have a proclamation, Tony Kuda, that I did not write, somebody else we know did from our friends. And if I can't make it through it, someone's going to have to help me. So whereas the city of Cleveland Heights has enjoyed leadership from mayors of many backgrounds, temperaments, and term lengths, and whereas among these civic legends stands Tony Kuda, who served as mayor for a duration so astonishingly brief that historians continue to debate whether he technically arrived before he left. And whereas Mayor Kuda's term, though measurable only with specialized scientific instruments, was marked by swift, decisive activity, including adjusting the office thermostat to a more reasonable setting and exclaiming, "Wait, I'm mayor now?" And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the city of Cleveland Heights hereby celebrates Tony Kuda, the shortest serving mayor in our proud history, a man whose leadership was brief, brilliant, and extremely easy to schedule around. Be it further resolved that this proclamation shall stand as permanent recognition that while some mayors leave legacies of buildings or policy reforms, Tony Kuda leaves us with something far rarer, a mayoralty so brief that no one had time to disagree with him. Signed with great honor and even greater speed, your buddies. And on a serious note, as his dear friend for so many years, Tony Kuda is that friend who stands with you in the darkest moments. And you always are there for everybody. Your mom, my mom, would be bursting with pride, and we're just grateful the way you showed up in this moment, and we love you dearly.
Keith Ellion? Oh, he did? Okay. Edgar Mitchell?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, council. I mainly came tonight to not even say anything wrong, but to see council, I think for the last time before the new year comes in. And I want to say to the ones that won't be back in council, God bless you, have Godspeed in everything that you might do. I'm kind of losing my voice because of the weather outside, but what I want to say is, it's great to me to see all the people out tonight here in council, and what I hope if we have problems, if you have a problem, that we find some solution to solve them. And I also hope if you have the answers, that who has the answers would also share them. And that way we can solve all of these problems that we have. So it's been wonderful to come this year to council and see what's going on, and hopefully Cleveland Heights will keep going and make some, progress here, so we all can kind of get something that'll make us feel better than we feel when we argue and fuss. I'm not a great one to come and talk about what's going on with the city. I just love the city. I've been in Cleveland Heights since 1979. And my kids grew up here, my grandkids grew up here, and I have great grandkids running around Cleveland Heights. So that's pretty much all I have to say tonight. Is I want to thank everybody, and God bless everyone that's celebrating Hanukkah, everyone that's celebrating Christmas and the holidays this time of the year. I hope that you have a wonderful time the rest of the year, and that we all can live in peace and help each other.
Thank you, Edgar.
Karen Lash? Karen Lash? Yeah, okay.
Karen Lash, Monticello Boulevard. I just want to take a moment to say something to the council. Some staying, some going. I first want to thank Tony for all the work he did. I'll just enumerate some of the major things. You brought calm in from the storm. You got rid of the last of the poison in the building. You brought in a killer city administrator who unfortunately we won't be able to keep. You continued to right our ship by bringing back our communications director that should have never been let go, and you rescued our excellent steward of the Mayor's Action Center. You delivered a complete budget in a month with the help of a lot of people, and that was truly a Herculean feat. And you have worked closely with our new mayor-elect to give him the best possible start he could have. So thank you so much. To our mayor-elect, who I'm just seeing a black screen. Jim, I want to thank you for all of your efforts on council and most notably saving our city with a budget in the 12th hour. You did a lot for us while you are on council. I know you've been working extremely hard to prepare for your new role. I'm grateful that you stepped up and wish you every possible success in your new term. Madam President, you did a wonderful job in stepping into the very orderly, you did a wonderful job that you stepped into. You are steadfast, calm, and kept things moving in a very orderly and professional manner. You ended the nasty outbursts and grandstanding that we were all subjected to by one of your colleagues. You kept all meetings running smoothly and on time as well, and you did a super job, so thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Can you wrap it up real quick, please?
Cobb and Posh, thank you for your diligence, you're asking the hard questions, and you're speaking out for what's right. Please keep that up in your new term. Councilor Sheets, thank you for your willingness to step up and contribute to our city and to help it move forward in future endeavors.
Karen, can you wrap it up?
And lastly, it gives me great pleasure to say, bye-bye, Anthony.
Karen, the biggest racist in Cleveland Heights, I just look forward to a future without you. The fact that you would come in here and even mention my name after assaulting me in this room is ridiculous. You are the epitome of what is wrong with Cleveland Heights. And I cannot even say, honestly, I wish you well, but I do wish you help. And I pray to God when you walk out of this room, you are nowhere near me, or I'm going to assure you, you're going to end up in jail tonight. So I wish you well. Go to hell. Thank you.
Patty, next.
Okay, I'm going to read a bunch of names in a row because these are all the people that signed up to say farewell. All right. Myra Orenstein, Deanna Taylor, Jeremy McBride, Alicia Vanier, Vicky, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading that name, Adam Dew, Stella Martin, Eli Mann, Lou Radovojevich, and Melody Joy Hart.
Myra Orenstein, I'm speaking only on behalf of NABA and the Taylor Merchants Association. My address is Euclid Heights Boulevard. I am here on behalf of the Merchants Association to thank Davita Russell for all the work that she has done for both districts, and also to provide you with proclamations from Chantel Brown, the governor of the state, and Chris Ronayne from Cuyahoga County, all aware of the work that you've done for us. Thank you for getting us the seed money from Cuyahoga County. We would be nowhere without you. So on behalf of all of the merchants, thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Deanna Moore Taylor. And tonight we pause to celebrate and give heartfelt best wishes to an extraordinary public servant, Councilwoman Davita Russell, as she prepares to close this chapter of public service at the end of this year. Leadership is not about just holding a seat. It's about how you show up in it. And Councilwoman Russell showed up with excellence, passion, and purpose. She served with integrity. She led with courage and never lost sight of the citizens of Cleveland Heights. Her work has strengthened this city, elevated important conversations, and created lasting impact. Running for mayor is a bold and courageous decision. It takes vision, confidence, and a willingness to step forward on behalf of others. While the outcome of the race didn't go the way many had hoped, the bravery it took to run speaks volumes about her belief in this city and her commitment to its future. That kind of courage deserves to be celebrated. What stands out most about Councilwoman Russell is that she's not just what she's accomplished, but how she's accomplished it. With grace, conviction, and an unwavering dedication to service, she has left her mark, and that mark will be felt long after this chapter ends. Councilwoman Russell, as you step into your next season, we celebrate you. We celebrate your leadership, your service, and your willingness to answer the call. May the road ahead be filled with new opportunities, fresh purpose, and continued success. Your legacy is strong, my sister. Your impact is real, and your journey is far from over. Citizens of Cleveland Heights, please join me as we give Councilwoman DeVita Russell her flowers as she leaves her seat and goes to her next chapter. And join me in wishing her the best. Thank you. To Councilman Maddox. Real quick, Councilman Anthony Maddox, rise above it. You are better and you are stronger. Rise above it. And Tony, thank you for your service. And Sharon Dumas was my former boss with the city of Cleveland, and you made it, I knew you were going the right way, hiring her and making that decision. Thank you.
I just wanted to say something. Alicia Vanier, I own property 254A, 2550, 2558, 2550, and 2556, 2554. I have just recently, like in the last 6 or 8 months, started coming to a lot of these meetings. And I must say that in order to be a council member, you have to have thick skin. And you guys have thick skin. So I just, sometimes you don't realize what your job consists of what you do as a member of the council member until you sit in their seat or walk in their shoes. So I wanted to thank each and every one of you for everything that you've done for the city of Cleveland Heights. I want to thank you, Ms. Russell. Before I even met you in person, you've helped me 3-4 years ago via email. So I want to thank you for your service to Cleveland Heights. Mr. Maddox, I want to thank you as well. From the meetings that I've been to, I can see that the passion and in your voice and in the different issues that you address, and it's very much appreciated. And I want to thank you for your service and your time and your commitment to Cleveland Heights. I also wanted to just give a shout out to Mr. Kuda as well. From the first time I met you, I believe that you heard my voice. I know that behind the scenes, there's some things that I discussed that were important to me, and that I know that you've tried to address them or are working on address them. They may not get resolved today, tomorrow, next year, but I appreciate that you listen to me. So I want to thank each and every one of you for everything that you do for Cleveland Heights and the community.
And I'm going to say the same things they're saying, so I'm not going to say repeats of it, but I want to thank you both, DeVita and Anthony, for your work and for all you've done in doing what's best for the city. Keep it up when you're off council, too.
I was hoping I could give Maddox a hug. It's not a proclamation, it's more of a love note. But this is to you, Councilwoman DeVita Russell. That's David with an A, as she likes to say. You know, Miss Russell, I never saw you as a retirement age Black, straight female labor leader, noble area homeowner. To me, you were just a beautiful neighbor. You earned my respect for living in Cleveland Heights for 50+ years, and you always have a genuine desire to understand problems and fix them. You opened my eyes to different needs and different issues in Cleveland Heights that sadly I have the privilege of being oblivious to. Whether it's collecting socks for elementary school kids or creating a shelter at Monty Temple for homeless families at Heights High, thank you for grounding me and bringing some spirituality into my life. These are your 3 top uniques that stand out to me. You know the art of the ask. You are great at asking questions. You don't stop until you understand the situation. Sometimes you even ask these questions if you feel others still don't know. You still ask the questions to make sure everyone in the room understands. You know how to ask for help. You know how to recruit and get volunteers to support a cause. Many hands make light work, but it all starts with the ask. And you know how to ask for money. You go to Cuyahoga County, you ask for $10,000, they give you $20,000. You know the art of saying no. You know the importance that to give your best work, you need to say no occasionally to balance life out. You are very good at keeping your boundaries between work and family. Some have considered that as your flaw. I see it as your strength. It's not the quantity of work, but the quality of work that matters. And you have proven this with all the legislation that you created. To the young council people with young families, council is part-time work, and there will always be work waiting for you tomorrow. Family first, because we need your A game when you come into City Hall. You are strong, and you know how to punch back. Always strong enough to swallow your pride, to keep peace and calm in a room, and always strong enough to tell someone to stay in their lane when they've crossed the line. Your favorite quote is right is right, wrong is wrong. And you always let us know. And by closing, what I witnessed your greatest strength was during political season. It was a fundraiser at Boss Dog with union members. I'm not a union member, but I'm working class, and I felt at home. And you were in your element. The unions showed up from Columbus and Cincinnati to pay tribute to your 30-plus years of union leadership. But they also came because they too are looking for strong leadership. I saw a woman from Cleveland Heights that has the muscle of thousands of people across the state of Ohio. And considering today's political climate, that's the fighter I want on my side. Davita Russell, you are union built, you are Ohio strong, and you are Cleveland Heights proud. Your most important work is in front of you, and we are grateful to have you part of the Cleveland Heights family. Much love and respect. Thank you.
Good evening, Eli Mann, Severn Road.
Will you move the mic
It's a little
up?
difficult after everyone is so complimentary here this evening. It's pretty good. I'm coming after an eloquent speaker, so I'm a little upset about that. It's a little hard for me to say something, but I will try to keep it short, and whatever I'm saying is very sincere, and that's what counts. I'm here on behalf of myself, on behalf of a good friend of Ms. Russell, Bob Ivory, who is not feeling well this evening, and really wanted to probably give an eloquent speech. And it's just a thank you for everything that you've done for the city, for the community. And Bob in particular is thankful. He's the executive director of students, a promise which ties in with the South Euclid schools, but especially we're talking about the Cleveland Heights schools. He's done so much, and part of him having the ability to do it is because of Davita Russell. He's also involved as executive director, transitional living facility, Apprentice Place Transitional Living Facility that is opening up on North Taylor Road. It's gonna help serve homeless women. There's a need for it in the area. And who is behind that? Just as well, it's Davita Russell. We hear many things that have happened positive in Cleveland Heights over the years, where a lot of people here get credit for, but tonight is her evening, and she deserves the ovation for that. I'd just like to close at wishing her best of luck in her new endeavors, and I think she is going to rise up even further in her career than she was before. And I don't know if she'll be the next governor or president, but let's take it one step at a time. I think since everyone was thanking Mr. Kuda, I'm just worried about the size of your pension being mayor here. So maybe Davida can help with that. Okay, and I also thank Mr. Maddox also as you are leaving here, and really much success in all your endeavors. While I have the podium,
not for much longer, sir.
Another 5 seconds. No, I'm not. I don't want to complain, but they did have a survey about deer, and deer are very dear to me sometimes when I watch them, but not when this morning or yesterday I had my grandkids over. We had 13 deer in my backyard. I'm not kidding, because I have it on, I have a picture of it. So I'm happy that I think there was a question here. Hopefully it'll be addressed. The last thing I would like to say is I'm here for over 35 years already in Cleveland Heights. When I came, I am a Clevelander to start with. When I came here, the streets were plowed and people didn't have to worry about spinning as much as I spun yesterday and today. It's not a joke, it's the safety, and I'm sure everyone considers it. I think that has to be addressed a little more carefully.
Thank you very much for your comments this evening. I would like to make okay.
Real quick. Thank you, President, Council President Larson. I will be very fast. To two Cleveland Heights originals, thank you so much for your service. Appreciate you both. Anthony, your advice at the end of the campaign caught me off guard, but it was great advice. Not sure it would have closed the gap for us, Anthony, but you know, I really appreciated the call. I did. And to my friend, Councilwoman Davida Russell, an independent voice, a true independent voice with an inspiring story to tell, and a true champion of working people. It's becoming more and more rare, sadly, in politics today. Feeding positive energy into the world while also fighting the good fight is really tough to pull off, but you do it better than most. We're lucky to have had you both on City Council, and look forward to Cleveland Heights getting behind both of you fully in your next act.
Thank you, Adam.
Madam President, just because we're on the train of farewells here, I also have from County Council Member Michael Hauser a proclamation for Davida as well that I will give you.
All right. To our friends here from the Cleveland Heights Immigration Alliance, Council has heard the public comments made over the past few months encouraging us to enact the legislation that provides $200,000 for legal aid for our residents who are subject to the cruel actions of ICE. The cruelty that our current federal administration has mounted against immigrants does not go unnoticed by any of us on this dais. I have personally witnessed the lack of regard in the Cleveland immigration courts for those who come to our country for a better life. I will work with Mayor-elect Petrus in 2026 to determine the best way forward on this issue that the administration finds is legally and fiscally responsible and reflects our city's commitments to the words, "All are welcome here." That being said, public comments are closed. All right, we're moving on with legislation, Eddie.
I have resolution number 260-2025 on first reading, a resolution to suspend enforcement of section 351-09 of part 3 traffic code of the codified ordinances of the city of Cleveland Heights for the period ending December 31st, 2026, or at such earlier time as council may subsequently prescribe on specified streets, providing for an on-street overnight permit parking on specified portions of Kensington, Hillcrest, Belmar, Glenmont, and Eddington roads, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second. Councilor Sheets gave a second. All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I have resolution number 261-2025 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with ZoneCo to assist in preparing 2026 zoning code updates for the city of Cleveland Heights and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I have ordinance number 262-2025 on first reading, an ordinance declaring a vacancy on Cleveland Heights City Council effective January 1st, 2026, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Council President Larson.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I have resolution number 263-2025 on first reading. A resolution authorizing the renewal of the city's property, vehicle, law enforcement, and general employee practices and public official liability coverage for the city and its employees with the Public Entities Pool of Ohio for the calendar year 2026, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Counselor Sheets, second. Any discussion? Yeah. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I have ordinance number 264-2025 on first reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a concession agreement with Mary Beth McCann in order to let space at the Cleveland Heights Recreation Center with the goal of providing safe, quality, and consistent exercise classes to members of the public and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Sorry, guys.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All right. Thank you. That was better. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I can't believe I'm gonna have to train my memory again in January. I have ordinance number 266-2025 on first reading, an ordinance to amend certain subparagraphs of ordinance number 011-20. Oh, I'm so sorry, I missed one. I have resolution number 265-2025 on first reading, a resolution ratifying a grant agreement with the Ohio Traffic Safety Office to accept funding awarded through the Impaired Driving and Selective Traffic Enforcement Programs and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Now I have ordinance number 266-2025 on first reading, an ordinance to amend certain subparagraphs of ordinance number 011-2025 and subsequent amending ordinances relating to appropriations and other expenditures of the city of Cleveland Heights, Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I have ordinance number 267-2025 on first reading, an ordinance to amend certain subparagraphs of ordinance number 011-2025 and subsequent amending ordinances relating to appropriations and other expenditures of the city of Cleveland Heights, Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I have resolution number 268-2025 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute agreements with the city of Shaker Heights, Ohio and Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District to provide for the construction, cost sharing, and maintenance of amenities included as part of the Horseshoe Park project and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next, we are moving on to second readings. I've got resolution number 251-2025 on second reading, a resolution requesting the county fiscal officer to advance taxes from the proceeds of the 2025 tax year collection pursuant to section 321.34 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
There's a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I have ordinance number 252-2025 on second reading. An ordinance authorizing the renewal of an agreement with Cuyahoga County General Health District for the provision of public health services to the city and its residents, providing compensation therefore, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I have resolution number 253-2025 on second reading, a resolution adopting the City of Cleveland Heights cybersecurity program in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 9.64C and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I have ordinance number 254-2025 on second reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 142 Arts Commission of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and to repeal its prior inconsistent provisions, introduced by all city council members and Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I have ordinance number 255-2025 on second reading, an ordinance amending section 140.02, members of chapter 140 Cleveland Heights Climate and Environmental Sustainability Committee of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland Heights to expand the resident membership of the committee from 7 to 9 members to allow for greater resident participation, introduced by Councilmember Cobb.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Cobb?
No discussion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I have ordinance number 256-2025 on second reading. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Coventry Village Special Improvement District, Inc. for an advance of $40,000 at 0% interest and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Council President Larson.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I have resolution number 257-2025 on second reading, a resolution providing for a contribution to the 2025 Coventry Winter Festival and Lantern Parade and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Council President Larson.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I have ordinance number 258-2025 on second reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a property transfer and indemnification agreement with the RP Derbyshire LLC concerning the real property located at 2450 Derbyshire Road and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
So moved.
I hear, did somebody give a second? You both?
Second.
Councilor Sheets, second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I have ordinance number 259-2025 on second reading, an ordinance amending ordinance 12-2020 passed on February 18th, 2020 to extend the term of that certain tax increment financing exemption under ordinance 12-2020 for an additional 30 years pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 5709.51 and authorizing additional instruments, agreements, certificates, and other documents deemed necessary in connection therewith, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, moving on to third readings. I have ordinance number 226-2025 on third reading, and an ordinance amending various sections of Part 11 zoning code of the codified ordinances of the City of Cleveland Heights to create a severance overlay zone, introduced by Mayor Kuda. I have ordinance number 227-2025 on third reading, an ordinance changing the zoning map of the City of Cleveland Heights to map the Severance Overlay Zone on Severance Town Center and adjacent parcels, generally east of South Taylor Road, south of Mayfield Road, west of Crest Road, and north of Severn Road, introduced by Mayor Kuda.
In the committee of the whole this evening, council had a consensus not to vote on these pieces of legislation. We'll be looking at them in January 2026.
I have ordinance number 241-2025 on third reading. An ordinance to make appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Cleveland Heights, Ohio for the period of January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure introduced by Mayor Kuda, and I believe we do have an amendment.
Yes, we do. Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 241-2025 to incorporate all of the administration's proposed amendments 1 through 4 as described in the 2026 budget amendment memo included in this evening's packet.
Can I get a second?
I'd also like to add 5, 6, and 7 to that amendment as well. Thank you.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the amendment? Okay, I'm going to ask, at this point, we would need to vote on the amendment. So all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? The amendment passes.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And any discussion on the legislation itself?
We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay.
Did you wish? Councilor Posh? No? No, did,
Oh, no.
no, I was looking for someone to speak.
Oh, well, I would love to speak.
Step forward, Councilor Posh.
Here we go. Okay, so we just amended the budget. We've had multiple finance committee meetings and some conversations, I believe individually, with our department heads, the mayor. And what these amendments mean is we're going to be funding $154,000 assistant prosecutor position. We are going to be spending it's NOPEC, it's a wash, it's $230,000. We also have a wash for our top of the hill fund. This is monies that actually come in and immediately go out to fund that project. Something that was not included in the budget was a $1.5 million adjustment for the public works budget to spend $1.1 million on adjusting the fixing the transfer station that has been sort of on the list to do for the last 2 years, but it hasn't been done yet. So that's on the list. There is $150,000 for a youth recreation program that's being added. We need to fund the art assessments for Noble and Taylor. That's another $100,000. And we're getting $1.5 million to pave, additional funding to pave our roads in 2026. We spent a lot of time in the Finance Committee reviewing this. I believe we're all satisfied with the budget. I'm excited that we're able to bring it forward for a vote tonight, unlike our craziness last year. And I really appreciate everybody stepping up and getting this job done, including our staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion on this? Vice President Russell.
Yes, I would like to thank Administrative Dumas, the Finance Department, Mayor Kuda, for everything you've done with the budget. I just want the public to know that I did ask to add $450,000 to the budget for our dog park that we will get in the future. That will be added to our Parks and Recs plan, that it will not be in this budget, but it will be hopefully allocated next year. I have left that up to my Councilman Posh to make sure that the residents of Cleveland Heights get the dog park that is truly needed and wanted.
Thank
and
you
I've
so
been
much.
worked on for so long. So residents, that $450,000, Mr. Posh, Councilman Posh is going to make sure that happens and that you get your dog park. Thank you.
Anybody else?
President?
Mayor Kuda.
I'm just looking at the Mount Rushmore of finance over here, and I just want to recognize we have our interim finance director, Rashawn Caldwell, obviously doing a great job, and really appreciate you stepping up, kind of unexpectedly, and you really answered the call. Administrator Dumas, how much I admire you and enjoy everything, our time, and but especially your work on the budget. And Andy Yannetic, thank you so much these two people came out of retirement to really help out a lot, and it meant a lot. And watching the three of you work together over the past 2.5 months, and the depth of your conversations and your dedication and the amount of time you put in is really appreciated. Just wanted to make sure I said that publicly.
Can we just give them a round of applause?
It goes without saying that this budget has been a work in progress that's been very enjoyable. And thanks again to all the work from Mayor Kuda and the administration, City Administrator Dumas, Interim Finance Director Caldwell, Andy Unetic, anyone else on your team. Please let them know that without this, we could not have gotten it to this point. And I'm going to take a roll call on this, Addie, please.
Cobb.
Aye.
Larson.
Absolutely.
Russell. Aye. Maddox.
Heck yes.
Petrus.
Aye.
Posh.
Yes.
Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes. Yay. We have a budget for 2026. So delighted. All right, next is committee reports, and Councilor Posh, you're up.
Madam President, could I ask your indulgence here? The student that was here to give a report, he was out in the hallway and did not hear his name called. I was wondering if we could go back and have the student report here.
Absolutely.
All right. We need to know what's going on in the CHUH schools.
Well, and we make it worth your while to put a suit on for us as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council members and Mayor Kuda. My name is Emmanuel Gutierrez, and I'm a 10th grader at Heights High. As a member of the superintendent student cadre, I'm here to give a brief report about what's happening at Heights High. I'm honored to be here this evening. Thank you for fitting me in and giving me this opportunity. First, I'd like to tell you about our athletic teams and give an update about several upcoming events at Heights High. The winter season has really just gotten underway. Boys basketball is off to a 4-1 start and is currently 2-0 in the Greater Cleveland Conference, and they are currently 3-1 in league play. Girls basketball is also off to a strong start in the Greater Cleveland Conference, and they are the ones who are currently 3-1 in league play. Boys and girls swim opened up their season with convincing wins at home over Brush and Independence. Girls wrestling finished 5th out of 25 teams at their first tournament of the season. And hockey is off to a good start as well, earning 4 wins so far in the season. Here are a few important events that are happening at Heights High. So updates for the month of December, Heights High held their second annual Staff versus Students volleyball game on Friday, December 12th. Students who turned in 3 Earn Your Stripes tickets, the high school's PBIS incentive program, were able to join the team that went against the high school staff. It was a close game and the gym was filled with excitement and Tiger spirit after performances by Heights High's cheerleaders, but the students came out on top in the end. The staff and student teams received custom commemorative t-shirts designed and produced by the high school's Work Labs program. The vocal music department, in which I myself am a part of, serenaded the community with songs of the season on December 12th with their winter concert. The Barbershoppers gave a sneak peek of their repertoire before they traveled to California in January for the midwinter convention of the Barbershop Harmony Society. So excited. There were also special performances by the Freaky Bobs and the Pitches, Heights High's men's and women's 4-member barbershop groups, who both secured top 15 spots in the Barbershop Harmony Society's Next Gen Junior Quartet Championship. Heights High's National Honor Society is hosting the Cozy Up with a Good Book Fair this Thursday, December 18th in the high school cafeteria from 6 to 9 p.m. District families will be able to browse through the books and select 1 or 2 per child to take home with them. The books will be sorted by reading level, interest, and or genre, and will include bilingual options. All books will be either new or gently used, so they can also be used as holiday gifts. The Heights Community Scholarship application is now open. Seniors received a Google Classroom invitation and must submit their applications by February 13th. The Heights Career Tech application is open for sophomores to apply to one of the 2-year programs. Students can apply at heightscareertech.com until 5 p.m. on January 23rd. And midterm exams for Heights High will take place this week, starting tomorrow, December 17th through Friday, December 19th. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Committee reports, we're going to start with Councilor Posh.
The Public Safety and Health Committee met within the last 30 days, and I was asked to bring this issue to the full council. It is regarding our deer population, and we know it's increasing. I'm kind of looking for some guidance on what we should do as far as some next steps. I mean, technically no decision is being made, but is this something that we as a council should be interested in, and should we be interacting with our new mayor and the new administration on looking for some solutions for? There's been a survey online for Cleveland Heights that was prepared by ODNR. We've had about 800 responses, actually more than 800 responses. I shared that with everybody last week. The overall majority is people think we have too many deer. When I asked the gentleman from ODNR to estimate our deer population, he said it was between 450 and 800 deer. Keep in mind the deer population exponentially grows. So today, if we have 800 deer, 10 years from now, we're going to have 8,484 deer. It increases about 30% a year. So we can just ignore it and try to enjoy the deer as they are, but we're going to get to a point where we're going to have too many deer. I also asked, well, what kind of deer population should our city have? And they were talking about taking, if we have 800, they think that we need to take 300 out of the mix, which is an astronomical number. And it was kind of unexpected to hear that. If you do any kind of deer management, specifically calling, which is killing deer, we can't take this lightly, but that happens around this time of year. So, and we don't have any time to do it this year. But we do have time to get more data, try to make a better decision, get the word out there. This is something that we are considering. What I'd like to propose is work with the administration to see if we can do a deer survey. This is an aerial survey done by airplanes. The USDA would typically do something like this, but I'd kind of like everybody sort of like, yeah, let's look into it without making a definitive decision. And I'd like to reach out to the administration that council would like to have a look at this and let the administration, the new administration, give us some guidance on what we should do. And
Councilor Sheets?
So I did sit in on that meeting and it was pretty interesting. So when you hear of doing an aerial inspection of the deers, you kind of think like this major to do. It is actually like a thermal scan. It's low key. You pretty much won't even notice that they're doing it, but it's the safest way to do it and the fastest way to accurately count how many deer are populating the area. So I am in support of it if you are doing it.
I was also at that committee meeting, and that's that last piece of data that we talked when we went to that workshop that they talked about doing. And I'm absolutely I will bring it up again in January. And I think it resides within the Public Safety and Health Committee most relevantly, right? Whoever's share of that, yeah. So we have deer vehicle collision data, which runs around 300 plus a year. We have data that is reflected in our survey of the citizens, and now we're looking at getting an aerial survey of the actual deer. So once we get that together, we will be able to make some decisions moving forward about what we want to legislate and authorize. So anybody else? Thank you. Thank you for all your work on this.
Well, it's a team effort.
Anybody else have a committee report? You have a meeting coming up, right?
To be determined.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I had a committee meeting, was that last week or 2 weeks ago, to go over some of the vacancies that we have on some of the boards, commissions, and committees, more specifically the Planning Commission, which has some urgency since we're going to have 2 vacancies January 1st. I think the consensus was that since the Planning Commission meeting normally the second Wednesday of every month has been moved to the end of the month, that we're going to review those Planning Commission vacancies the first week in January. I think Addie sent out a doodle poll to everyone.
Yeah, it's looking like it's probably January 6th, just FYI. Just want to confirm.
Not December 29th?
No.
All right, thank you.
And Addie, did you get my email about the 6 being a potential problem?
Yep, and I didn't factor that in when I just said that, so maybe not. We'll see.
We need to try and fit it in that first week for sure.
Another doodle poll, correct?
No, she got a bunch of other dates.
All right. Councilor Posh?
We had a finance committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow. We were just kind of holding on it. Councilmember Maddox was going to make a presentation, but now you'd like to do that in January or the February. We'd love to be able to have you there then. We're also holding it open in case we need it for any budget issues. So you've asked me 4 times, maybe 6. Can I cancel it? Can I cancel it? Yeah, you can cancel it.
Okay, good.
So that's my report.
Thank you for letting us know. Appreciate it. I have Municipal Services Environmental Sustainability meeting tomorrow night at 6, following the Finance Committee meeting. So I'll bring my computer and do some work. The committee will be considering the Transportation Mobility's recommendations to revise the Complete and Green Streets legislation. So, all right. No more committee reports. We'll go into old business. Did you have something, Councilor Maddox, on the old business? No? Okay, all right. New business. All right, council member comments. Go ahead.
It's my last meeting, and so there's several things that I want to say. Before I address the residents tonight, number one, I want to tell, please hear me clearly. To any resident who is headed up here right now, please turn around and go home. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the messages. We have law enforcement in this building, and I am safe and sound. Karen is in here, yes, but that's not how we roll in Cleveland Heights. So I appreciate, again, that support. I need to address that, though, because I have never gotten this many messages and amount of folks. There are actually at least 7 people in the parking lot right now. It is unconscionable to me that a woman who assaulted me and physically assaulted me would then come in here and then verbally assault me on my last meeting of this year. But that's precisely what Karen Lash did. In the environment that we are in across this country, where violence can pop up out of nowhere in their vocabulary, it is just insane that she's continued to take this route. I want to say to Karen and everyone else who might be rejoicing, let me just pause you in the fact that I am excited to be the new Chief Executive Officer of Sankofa Community Development Corporation. It not only oversees Cleveland Heights, but this county, and we are actually national. I'm not going anywhere. Noble is my home. I happen to live right around the corner. I own several homes right off Monticello Boulevard where Karen Lash lives. And so she'll see me and my family around a lot. So I'm sorry to disappoint anyone there. I've given my life to the city and I will continue to do so. I owe it to this city. As a pastor, as a civil rights activist, I can tell you that tonight and the experiences that I've had over the last 4 years have been unreal in some cases. And what you saw tonight is a prime example of some of the things that myself and others have had to walk through that maybe my colleagues have have not had to experience. That's okay for me because I believe that the first person in the door is always going to get shot, but it opens up the door so much wider for everyone else who represents what I do and speaks for me. And so I want to say thank you for this community for, number one, allowing me to have this seat for a moment. It was never my seat. It has always belonged to you, and it's continued to be a privilege to serve you and speak for you, and even those of you who may have never had a voice at this table before. So one of the reasons people like Karen Lash have been so uncomfortable with me. They're hearing voices and seeing people represented that they didn't even know existed in this city, and in some cases did not care. But because of that, we were able to have conversations and bring things to the table and bring up issues that have made the city much, much greater place for so many other people. What I'm excited about the fact is that although there are plenty of other Karens in this community, I'm so grateful that the vast majority of this community believes in unity, believes in justice, believes in equality, believes in sincere community engagement. And so we're going to continue to embrace that. So we're going to use people like that as a push for change and to show that these things do still exist even in Cleveland Heights. She's a prime example that we don't want to have these conversations. These people live among us as well. And we need to work to have these dialogues to make sure that this is a welcoming place for all people. Again, I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to serve the last 4 years, to serve you for 6 years on your planning commission, to serve you as an employee of this city since I was 13, and then on just so many opportunities and experiences that I've had, from events to our schools and so much. But there's still a lot of work to be done, and it's clear from tonight that we've got a lot more work to do. But I don't want anyone to take away from this that the right way to combat this is through violence or through protesting someone coming up to City Hall tonight. It isn't. It's through standing up, speaking truth to power, hitting those streets, and continuing to make change. To hopefully we can change the hearts and the minds of people across this city and across this country to embrace all people. I know we have had difficult conversations over the last 4 years, but I appreciate my council colleagues for allowing me to have those conversations. And I can honestly say it has actually gotten better over time. And so I appreciate, again, the ability that you've given me to serve. I'm looking forward to continue to serve this community in a much broader way. But just know that there has to be space for everyone here at this table. We should not be afraid to have difficult conversations about who represents who and where they are. And if we get to the point where we get so angry that people are even bringing up other folks, we've got to ask ourselves why. I am excited because I know that regardless of the people that we see and the negative experiences we have on the margins, we have an amazing city with people full of passion and vision. And so I'm choosing to embrace that tonight as a pastor and as an activist. And some of y'all know that is very hard for me to do, considering she's sitting right across from me. But she represents the work that still needs to happen in this community. We're not going to do that work with threats and with violence. We're going to do that work by standing and speaking truth to power and continuing to stand up for those who can't speak for themselves. And so I want to say thank you for allowing me to serve. I want to say thank you to my wife, Tiffany, who's watching this, and my family for allowing me to give up so many Mondays and other nights. I want to say thank you for the grandbabies who even passed out flyers and handed out stuff to help me get reelected. I want to say thank you to everyone who enjoyed the bubble machine, including Craig. We had a good time out there on the campaign trail. And I'm excited about both our Taylor and our Noble Road associations and the work that you're going to do. I look forward in assisting you in any way that I can. I believe that you are going to be the catalyst for change in both of those areas. So thank you for taking the torch up for that. So many people's lives and businesses are going to be impacted because of the work that you're doing. And so to you, I say the same thing that I say to my supporters out in the community. I say to my church, let's get it, let's go. The time to move is now. We are in our building season. I'm looking forward to seeing our development take place. I'm looking forward to seeing our business prosper. And I'm looking forward to making sure that all of our voices continue to have a seat at the table, all right? And to anyone wondering, I did not and will not be applying for the open seat. There are amazing people across the city who are going to represent you well. And I believe this council is going to do a great job of selecting them, but absolutely not. My time on this seat is done. I appreciate that. And now it's time for me to take these experiences and do something much larger with you. And so continue to hold me accountable. I continue to look forward to partnering with you. And again, thank you. I'm a pastor. I'm long-winded, but this was a very interesting night. I love you guys, and have a great 2026. And again, let's get it. Let's go.
Vice President Russell.
Wow, it has been an amazing night. And I wrote something down because I wanted to stay on point. Tonight, I stand before you with a deep sense of gratitude.
After serving this community for 6 years on City Council and 2 years as your Vice President, this moment is not a goodbye. It is a farewell to one chapter and beginning another. Life has its seasons, and when one door opens, God always opens another. I am simply walking through the next door that He has prepared for me. Although I did not obtain the mayor's seat, running for mayor was an exciting and meaningful journey. It opened my eyes to the good, to the bad, and the ugly of Cleveland Heights. The strength, the challenges, and the diverse geographics and the stories that make up our beloved community. But the greatest gifts was you. When I had an opportunity to speak to each and every one of you face to face, when I had an opportunity to learn and listen and build upon your generous thoughts. I've gained new friends, new supporters, and a new perspective that I will cherish forever. When I declared my candidacy for mayor, I knew it required giving up my council seat. I did it proudly, knowing that service, true service, sometimes demands sacrifice. Since then, many residents has encouraged me to apply for the vacant seat and to return to council. I am humbled by your faith in me, but there comes a moment when you must recognize that it is time to move forward so that God can open up new doors, and He has done that. Most people don't know, but before Janine Boyd served as the state representative, I prepared to run for state representative. Later, 2 years ago, when I served on council, I also pulled petition to run for state representative. Circumstances shifted, but today that door is open once again, and I am stepping through it. So tonight, I am announcing that I am running for Ohio State Representative for District 18, representing Cleveland Heights. Once Mayor-elected Jim Petrus heard my interest, he immediately reached out with his full support and his encouragement. Joined with Councilman and interim Mayor Tony Kuda, Councilman Posh, Councilman Cobb, Councilman Maddox, Councilwoman Zenobia Sheets, Councilwoman Larson, and elected Councilman Joe DeWitt Floyd has all given me their support, as long as also with County Council Michael Hauser. In this new role, if voters grant me the privilege, I will continue the fight for Cleveland Heights for all 9 cities in District 18 at a higher level in our state government. My commitment to you is not ended, it has expanded. Cleveland Heights, I love you. You have shaped me, challenged me, supported me, and prepared me for the next chapter. I am not leaving you, I am carrying you with me into the District 18, into the State House, and into everything I do moving forward. I want to thank all of my colleagues, the former council members, the current council members, the former city manager, and the former mayor. You have taught me, you have challenged me, you have made me a councilwoman. For those things, I truly, truly, truly will never forget. I want to thank the city administrators, the directors, my union fellow members and staff, the people who do the work in the city, the people who love the city.
I am here and I will remain here. I love Cleveland Heights, and thank you so much for the honor of letting me serve you. My doors remain open, my heart remains committed, and the work I continue this path with you along by my side. Tonight, I thank you. I honor you, Cleveland Heights, for the opportunity to serve you for 6 years. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anybody else have council comment?
I do.
Councilor Cobb?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Davida and Anthony, it's been a privilege and a pleasure to serve with both of you on City Council. You have brought dedication, thoughtful and passionate discussion to City Council, and a genuine commitment to giving voice to those in our city who often feel overlooked or ignored. I was about to say your voices will be missed, but after hearing you tonight, it appears not. So I look forward to your continued participation in our city government. And although you won't be speaking from up here, I'm assuming that you'll be speaking from down there, and don't forget to give your addresses. So I wish you well in the next step in your respective journeys, and I look forward to continuing to work with both of you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Cobb. And I want everyone to know my sidekick over here, Councilman Posh, I'm laying everything unfinished that has not been finished in his lap. That is the Merchants Association for Taylor. That is the Merchants Association for Naba. And that is the dog park.
And the dog park.
And the dog park.
You need to find a place for it.
So, Cleveland Heights residents, this is your guy. Watch out for him. Thank you.
Councilor Petrus.
Thank you, Council President Larson. I'm sorry for not getting my hand up sooner. This evening is about Councilman Maddox and Council Vice President Russell, so I will be brief. Tonight marks my final meeting as a member of this City Council, and I want to say how deeply grateful I am to have the opportunity to serve alongside such thoughtful, dedicated colleagues who care so deeply about Cleveland Heights. I wish Council Vice President Russell and Councilman Maddox the very best in their next chapters, and thank them for their service and partnership. And I also want to extend my sincere thanks to Mayor Tony Kuda for his work to ensure a smooth and responsible transition. As I prepare to step into the role of mayor, I'm working hard to meet with staff, to listen and to learn as much as I can, and to be building relationships with mayors across our county, state, and even country to ensure I bring the strongest possible ideas and approaches back to Cleveland Heights. I'm incredibly proud of this city and grateful to continue serving Cleveland Heights in a new capacity. Thank you.
Councilor Sheets.
Okay, so I typed something. I really wanted you to speak last, Davida and Anthony, but I'll go ahead and read what I wrote. Since being appointed October 20th, I've worked with one clear focus in mind, which is to listen to our residents and respond with measurable actions. Recognizing that I had a pair of huge shoes to fill with Councilwoman Vice President Davida Russell and Councilman Anthony Maddox, now vacating their seats and me applying. Let me tell you, it's intimidating. You two have been trailblazers, and it's a feat that I'm definitely looking forward to should I be blessed to be reappointed. While I didn't envision your work stopping here, but you two just made huge announcements today. Now understanding that your vision does not stop here, I definitely aspire to continue to work alongside you as residents, advocates, trailblazers, and my role models, not just within our community, but beyond. During my time here in office since October, I have listened to the voices of residents and several concerns and ideas that has been brought to me. The first of which was when the SNAP program was frozen. A food drive was assembled and immediately was responded to heavily by the residents, and it became a great success. We were able to feed our own within our home, and no one went without. Simultaneously, a resolution was brought forth to Mayor Kuda, who was actively already working for the residents and informing that he's already been in communication with the food bank. So I appreciate that, Mayor Kuda. I then attended multiple information gathering events and brought those resources back to the city. That work continues all the way up until this upcoming December 18th with the SNAP Forum being held and hosted at the Caledonia Community Center, thanks to Ms. Joyce Dixon. It will be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and agencies such as Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, Health and Human Services, Resource Cleveland, et cetera, will be on site providing real hands-on assistance to anyone that was impacted by SNAP benefits being forfeited or lost. The residents also voiced loudly concerns with their tax increases. So I immediately got in touch with the Board of Revisions and contacted Director O'Leary and said, hey, listen, can you come to the community and explain why the increases, what we can do, and how the residents can contest the increase in taxes. He obliged, and that is actually going to be scheduled in mid-February. Am I still okay to talk?
Can you wrap it?
Okay, yes, I can. The Severance Action Group reached out and they voiced their concerns alongside, many other residents. That action, as you know, is still a work in progress. But ultimately, and most importantly, my junior council program that I found out is already a work in progress, has been blessed with the support from County Councilman Michael Hauser with a $5,000 commitment towards the youth to say, hey, listen, I believe in these kids in this initiative. So again, thank you all for blessing me and welcoming me to serve you, even if it's for a short time. And again, thank you, Councilman Maddox, Councilwoman Russell, President Larson, Craig, Jim, Mayor Kuda, definitely Mayor-elect Petrus, the legal department, and my Jim, she's sitting over in the corner, Addie. She has been such a help. I call her a lot for help. But I thank you all. You have been a great support, and I have no reason not to be successful with your leadership. But again, thank you.
Councilor Posh, would you like to say something? Councilor Posh.
That dog park? Is that what you're looking for?
Dog park.
I'm the youngest. Well, no, you were only for 3 months. I haven't been on this council a whole lot, so I don't have the rapport that you guys have.
You're no longer new.
Oh.
But I do feel like I'm new. I always feel like I'm new, but I really want to wish you guys the best. It's great to hear that you've got plans. I'm excited for that. Don't be strangers or anything, Good luck with everything.
Let everybody know it's cake.
I'm going to. I'm going to give my president report first, though. All right, thanks. This is the president's report. Applications for the council vacancy created by Jim Petrus, election to mayor, will close tonight at midnight. As of earlier today, we have 9 applications. Council will be considering those who have applied in January. The plan remains to fill that vacancy within 60 days from January 1st, 2026, that is allotted by our current charter. I want to express my great gratitude to you, Mayor Kuda, through the flowers, for being an awesome collaborator in your role as interim leader of the executive branch over the past 3 months. Our weekly meetings have been very helpful. Your accessibility to me when I needed a word has been nothing but encouraging. I look forward to having you return to this side of the room in January. City Administrator Dumas, you have been a pleasure to work with over this interim as well. Your ability to resolve problems and acquaint us all with how this city operates has benefited this council and the city tremendously. You set the tone for collaboration, cooperation, and professionalism, and provided guidance for all of us. I wish you all the best as you return to retirement. Yeah. Mayor-elect Petrus, council colleagues, you have been great to work with as one of the 7 members of the legislative branch. I look forward to working with you as you assume the role of leader of the executive branch, Mayor-elect Petrus. If you ever need anything, please let me know. I'm also letting people know that this meeting is adjourned at 9:36.